welcome to a new episode of Sugarfolk Homemade, my podcast where I talk about all the things I have been crafting. If you are new here, my name is Michaela and I'm coming to you from a very small town in North Carolina. I live with my husband and our 3 kids. Speaking of kids, I have already tried to film this once with them out and about playing around me. The youngest is 2, the oldest is almost 5, so it didn't go well. They were much louder than I anticipated and it was very distracting, so deleted that one. Here I am again. I'm hoping this one will go well. I still don't have notes and like a schedule or like any kind of plan for how this is gonna go, so it might be a long one because I've been up to a lot. So, and I just heard a child crying. Okay, anyways, as I was saying, it might be a long one. I might have to take some stops to enforce nap time. But yeah, grab something to sip on and let's go because it's been a minute and I have quite a lot to show. If you are returning, by the way, welcome back. As you saw in the intro, been up to some fun things since I've been on here last. My husband and I actually went on our 8th wedding anniversary trip. We took a trip over the weekend, and that's what those snowy videos are from. So it was actually like 70 degrees the day before we were set to leave to go on our trip. We woke up that morning and there was snow outside, and it was only like 2 inches, so it's not a big deal, but we had to go up the mountain to get to our destination, and that's where you could see us driving, and it was snowing, and those roads are pretty hazardous in the ice and snow, but we made it there safely and we had a wonderful time. The snow was actually really nice because it just made it so like cozy. We had a fireplace in our hotel room, so it was lovely. And the video of where there's like a house in the snow, that's where we stayed. It's like an old farmhouse that they turned into a kind of like a bed and breakfast, but like more upscale, if you will. We kind of splurged a little bit for our anniversary, but it was so worth it. It was wonderful. And then there's some more videos. We went to Cades Cove, which is a few hours away from us, but we try and go every year. It's like a tradition with my dad, because my dad used to take me when I was little, so now he joins us and we take our kids. And that's in the Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee. So we had a great time there. Didn't take a lot of photos and videos. I wish I would have to show you guys because it is beautiful. There's no cell signal there, so I just didn't even have my phone on me, so I didn't even think to take pictures. But there's the old primitive churches, and there's some of the cabins still there from when it was like a little community, and it's just really, really cool. If you've never even heard of it, definitely look it up. Check it out if you're anywhere close. Really cool place to go. Takes you back to simpler times. Also, I wanted to mention, last time I talked to you guys about how I had to take my youngest son, Sammy, to a neurologist because we found a cyst on his brain and it needed to be checked out. It was an arachnoid cyst. You may have heard of those. They're not rare or common, really, so you may have heard of them. But a lot of you shared experiences with me of your own or family members that have dealt with that, and just a lot of encouragement from you guys and prayers, and we appreciate every single one of the prayers and all of your kind words. We went to his appointment, and going in I was very stressed, just with the thought that he might possibly need some sort of brain surgery or something. Like, that's such a overwhelming thought, to even think about having to go through that. But the neurologist showed me the cyst, the scan, and everything looked good. There's no pressure on his brain. We don't need to do recurrent MRIs unless we want to, just for peace of mind, to make sure it hasn't grown. The doctor was very nice. He said anytime we want to check on it, just call him and he'll schedule an MRI. Like, no questions. But he said just to let Sammy live a normal life. He wants to play football, go right at it, like do whatever kids do, and just always keep in the back of our mind that it's there, and if there's ever any symptoms that show up, then we'll get it checked again. So that was very nice to hear. One stress to kind of take out of my brain. I still think about it, you know, and anytime he hits his head, I'm like, oh no, did he hit where the cyst is? But in the end, I know that God will take care of him, and he knows everything that's going on there, and that's where my trust is. So I try not to dwell on it too much. Anyways, on to knitting, which is what we're really here for, right? Okay, where to start? I'll start with what I'm wearing. This was almost finished last episode. This is my Be Thankful cardigan. Finished it, and I have worn it many, many times. I wear it anytime I can. It's starting to get warm here in North Carolina, but anytime it's like a little bit chilly, I pull this out because I just love it. It might be my favorite thing I've made so far. So it is cropped, as you can see, and I really like how it has, like, you can see the seams on it, which is kind of neat. Like, it almost looks inside out. And then it's got the drop shoulders. There's another seam I'm talking about. It looks like it's inside out. And then the big balloon sleeves. Now, I did knit this with acrylic yarn, and I was originally a little bit worried that it was going to end up being one of those sweaters. I have a few that I've bought from just clothing stores that are made of plastic materials like this, and like, it could be a very nice temperature, but it like makes you feel smothered, and because it just makes you like sweaty, and like it just makes you hot, and I didn't want that with this. I was nervous that that was what was going to happen, but it is great. I mean, it's a very comfortable temperature in here right now, and I've been wearing it all morning, and I feel totally fine. But it being a cardigan, if I need to take it off, you know, I can just take it off. So yeah, this is my Be Thankful cardigan. Pattern is by Lily Kate France. I did use the recommended needles for this. I actually got gauge perfect with her. So that kind of makes me want to knit some more of her patterns, just because now I know what, well, I guess not generally speaking, but I'm pretty close to what her gauge is. So, and I struggle with meeting gauge, mainly because I don't like to swatch. But anyways, I want to knit more of her patterns because I know that we knit to the same general tightness, if you will. Okay, so yeah, I told you guys when I finished this, I wanted to replace this project with another sweater, and I did start another sweater. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to wear it until probably this next fall and winter, but I did go ahead and start the sweater just to like get it on the needles so that I don't, you know, forget about it, and then the yarn just sits in my stash. I wanted to make it, and I didn't want my unattentiveness to distract me from making it. So I did start it, and it's with this yarn that I showed you guys last time, the Premier Anti-Pilling Bamboo. And now you can get a better picture of what the color looks like. It still looks a little muted on here, but it's a beautiful blue, almost with like green undertones. It's just very rich, and I love it. And this yarn is very, very soft. So I did start the sweater, and this is chunky yarn, so it's kind of moving along pretty quicker than I anticipated, if I'm being honest. So this is what we've got so far. Ooh, I love this. I can't wait to wear it. Okay, so far, the only modification I have made, and I'm making the smallest size, I did have to go down in needle size, I believe. Let me check. Oh, by the way, this is called the Aosta Sweater by the Knit and Purl Girl. Where's the needles? Okay. Maybe I'm crazy. I can't find the needle sizes. Oh, here we go. 6mm and 7mm. And I'm using... Okay, so it called for 7mm for the bigger, like the body and stuff. The 6mm was for the ribbing. But I'm using 6mm for the body as the bigger needle, because my gauge was a little bit looser than hers. And I think it might be because of this yarn. This yarn is so soft that it's almost slippery, and so it doesn't like hang on to the needles at all, so it kind of gives me a looser gauge. So yeah, I did go down a needle size, but I think that the fit's going to be perfect. I also did modify the neckline, because the pattern calls for you to knit this twice as long and then fold it in and have the folded collar, which almost sits like a mock neck type neckline. And I already have a couple sweaters like that, so I wanted to just do a regular neck. It is kind of square because of the raglans, but I like it. I think it's great. So I just didn't fold it, and I only knit halfway through the ribbing, which is about like maybe 2 inches, right at 2 inches. And it is top down, and I love this texture. I can't really tell you what it is, I guess, because it's a paid for pattern. But yeah, and it is going to be cropped, and it has balloon sleeves, just like what I'm wearing. That's becoming my theme, I guess. But yeah, I'm really excited about this. Can't wait to wear it. I just love it. It's fun and colorful, but it's also kind of moody, which I love. Just like this color. So yeah, that is that sweater. I'm working on it pretty steadily. Not in any kind of hurry, because I can't wear it right now anyways, but still trying to keep up with progress on that. And I will show you next this, which I think I might have showed last time. I don't remember. It's a little cardigan that I'm making for my daughter Rosie for Easter. This is the Lily Dahlia Solo. I'll put the links to everything in the description, as always. I actually made this pattern about a year ago for my niece, because it comes with like a dress, a shirt, onesie, and a cardigan, patterns for all of those. So I made her the onesie, and then so I already had the pattern, so and the yarn, so I whipped up a little cardigan for Rosie. And it's supposed to be a long sleeve, regular cardigan, but I have modified it, so this is what I've got so far. Back keeps folding up. So all I've left to do is a button band and then a couple buttons. It's not a traditional cardigan, because I did crop it quite a bit, and then I did short sleeves, and I did make them like little puffy sleeves, and I'll tell you how I did that in just a second. But this is going to be more of a like a little shrug for her to wear over her dress. I guess that's what they're called. I remember wearing them to church when I was little. And by little, I mean like not little, like 12 and 11. But just like it almost comes to like right here, just like the little shrug, So I thought that would be perfect for her. And I love this pattern. It's not in an adult, there's no adult size in the pattern, but I may see if I can't work some math and make a sweater for myself with this in the yoke, because it's so pretty. So yeah, I've just got to do the button band, and I'll just probably put 2 buttons here at the top, because you don't really usually button this style of shrug, cardigan, whatever you want to call it. And for the sleeves, what I did was I picked up oh, I knit this in the size 4 for a 4-year-old. I've used all those, all the cast on in the chart, and then I just kind of modified with the sleeves and the length. But for the sleeves, after I picked up all the stitches, I only knit 3 rows, and then I decreased. I would do knit 6 and then knit 2 together all the way around, and then I went down 2 sizes to do the ribbing, and it gave it a nice little, not super exaggerated, but just a cute little puff. I could have decreased more, like more often. I could have done like maybe knit 4 and then a knit 2 together, but I'm happy with the way that this turned out. So that is her little cardigan. I did use recommended needles for this. I don't think I was right on gauge though. It might have been a little bit too tight, but I think my yarn is more of a light fingering rather than just a fingering. But yeah, it turned out beautiful. I can't wait for her to wear it. I have a shirt in this same yarn that I made last year, and I wore it yesterday actually as I was working on this, and she said, "Mommy, I can't wait, and we'll be twins." So that'll be cute. Moving on from that, okay, I did, last time I showed you guys all the little mini skeins that I got from the Lonely Knitter on Instagram. She did a Call the Midwife theme one month, and so I got 10 gram skeins of just some wild colors, and decided to make some stripy socks. Whoops. So the first one is finished. I love this sock, and I'm pretty excited to make the second one. What I did was I did a 1x1 rib for about 10 rows, but oh, this is 64 stitch cast on a 2.5 millimeter needle. The knit stitches are twisted, or maybe not even. Yes, the knit stitches are twisted, and then regular purls. And then I went straight into the slip stitch heel flap and gusset, and then I kind of alternated how many rows each color got. So like here there's almost like 10 rows, and then I went to maybe 7 and then 10 and then like 6, 7, 6 or something like that. And then when I got to that color again, I'm like almost playing yarn chicken, I think. I don't really know, because I don't know how much, I haven't really measured it, but since I already used this color up here, I did less than the amount of rows I did there. So here I did 10, so here I would have done maybe 7 or 6. So yeah, I just kind of I didn't keep them all the same. I wanted it to be kind of mismatched. And on the next sock, I'm not gonna have enough of this color to do another heel, I think. Maybe I would, but this color and this pink are the two brightest. So I think on the other sock, I'm gonna do the pink as the heel and then replace the pink stripes with the blue in the other sock. They're already quirky, make them quirkier, why not? I also did implement, for the first time ever, an arch support. And I was already knitting on these, and I was wearing ankle socks, like just from the store, cotton ankle socks, and I looked at them and they have an arch support on them, and I really like that because it makes it just feel more snug on your foot. So I tried to find a pattern that would tell me how to do that, and I couldn't find one for free, so I found a picture of one and I just zoomed in on it to try and figure out what they did. And I don't know if this is what they did or not, but this is what I did, and it worked. So I did the same thing as the heel flap. I just did a row of slip one, knit one, and then I'll do a round of knit, and then slip one, knit one, round of knit. And I did that for about, I don't know how many rows, but maybe 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches. And it really does help the sock just fit on my foot a lot better. especially considering since it's an ankle sock and it's pretty low cut. It goes under my ankle. And I have pretty skinny ankles, so the 64 stitch cast on edge is a little bit loose there compared to when it's, you know, up on my leg. So this helps the sock just stay where it needs to be, if that makes sense. So yeah, I love these, and I've got them on my pretty little sock blockers. I talked about these before. Yeah, and I would have already started the second one, but yesterday my sister-in-law was here and she reminded me that next weekend is my niece Ashley's birthday, and I completely forgot. So I am making her now a pair of little socks. She will be 1. And if you remember last year, I made her that same pattern that I'm doing the cardigan for my daughter. I made her a onesie with that pattern before she was born, and I used like a lime green yarn. I have a little bit of it left, so I figured I would make her some socks. Obviously she can't wear the onesie anymore, but this is like her yarn, so I'm using it for some socks for her. It's just cotton, which I think is, for her, because she's still a baby, is better than wool for her because the wool may be too scratchy. So yeah, I started these yesterday, just a little pair of baby socks. They're so cute. I really hope they fit. I'm supposed to see her later today, so I'm gonna take these with me and slip them on her foot just to make sure. But I did a 40 stitch cast on, and then I did a 2x2 rib just for maybe like 3/4 of an inch. And then I wanted to do some texture around the cuff. In my head I was thinking of some sort of like lace detail, but at the time my phone was dead and I wanted to just get started. So I couldn't look up any kind of pattern. So I just did, I did a knit 3 purl one round, all the way around, and then I did 2 knit rows, knit rounds, and then another knit 3 purl one, knit 2 rows, and then another knit 3 purl one. And I actually really like the way that it looks. It almost, like, it's kind of hard to distinguish what's going on, but it just gives it a little fun up there. And then I did a slip stitch heel, a flap, and gusset, and I've stopped right here because I just finished the decreases, and I want to implement the same slip stitch arch support in these for her just to help them stay on her feet, but I need to try them on her first and see where her little arch is because I've never made a baby sock before. So yeah, I'm gonna see her today and I will try this on her, make sure it fits, and then finish this one and get to work on the second one. This bag is a wreck. When I was weaving in ends for my scrappy sock or my striped sock, every time I'd cut the yarn I just threw it in this bag, and so now there's just like a ton of yarn ends in here. I will clean that out eventually. And as you can imagine, I had quite a few ends to sew in on that striped sock. Okay, moving on from that. Wait a minute, I feel like I just missed something. Maybe I didn't. Okay. So this next project, I just realized I'm not really going in any order of like whips, new cast-ons, things like that. Didn't mean to do that, but I'm kind of, it's all spread out. So for Christmas, I babysit a little girl. She's the same age as my youngest son, and she's with me 4 days a week. And I had her sister until she started school this year, but now I've got the younger one, and I've had her for a while. This Christmas, her mom got me a gift card to our local yarn shop, which is always always so appreciative of that kind of gift. So I went to my local yarn shop with the purpose of buying some nice baby alpaca yarn to make the Cowlville shawl from Gabriella from Merryweather Knitting. because that shawl is beautiful, and the drape of hers, and she used just a piece of fuzz flying around me. She used baby alpaca. I think she used this exact same yarn, actually, different color, but anyway, so I went in, and oh my gosh, I fell in love with this yarn. This is the Juniper Moon Farm Harriet 100% baby alpaca in the color 7th. Beautiful number 7. It is so soft, you guys. Oh my goodness. And it has been a joy to knit with. I wish I could afford to just knit with this all the time because I love it. So I started the Cowlville shawl, and I'm almost finished with the first section, which is moss stitch. And the way this is feeling so far, oh my goodness, I am gonna live in this shawl this fall and winter. Let me tell you, it is so soft and like drapey, but just, oh, it's so cozy. So this is what I've got going so far. I have a little, I have some Great British Baking Show stitch markers up here. And then some little butterflies on the ends. I have about 3 repeat sections, which are 4 rows each, to go on this section, and then I will move on to the next. This is another project that I won't be able to wear until fall, winter, so another 6 months or so. 6 months? That sounds about right. Maybe not quite so long. So I'm not like stressed about finishing it right now. I pick it up when I can, and I know I'll have it done in time, because as we get closer to fall, I'm going to be too excited to not just work on this obsessively until it's done. And I'm keeping this in this little thrifted floral purse that I've shown you guys before. I'm probably going to need to upgrade to a bigger bag as this grows, because it's getting pretty full as it is right now. That is another new cast on. I am using the recommended needles for this as well. I did not check my gauge because it's a shawl, and if it comes out not the exact size, I'm not too concerned about it. Also, it looks like it's going to stretch quite a bit during blocking if I choose to block it that way. Very, very excited about that. Next, I almost wasn't even going to show you guys this because it has been languishing for a long time. This is almost turning into my weekender light, which I showed you guys for like 6 months consistently because it took me so long to finish it. But I have made progress, so I'll show you. This is my husband's sweater. It was meant to be a Christmas gift. Didn't even get close to being that. But I have made some progress, so I can't really stretch it out too much because it's falling off the cord. But it is coming along. And I just had my husband try it on the other day, and it is fitting him like a glove, which is kind of motivated me more to keep working on it. So the last time I showed you guys, I'm on the body. I was here, and I've knit about a good 3 inches. I've just got a few more inches to go on the body before I do the ribbing. And then of course I'll have to pick up and do the sleeves, which I can tell I'm going to be camping out on Sleeve Island for quite a while. My husband's a big guy, a very muscular guy, and I've had to modify this a little bit to fit his frame. So I started with the extra large measurements, and it's only grown in number of stitches because I've had to modify. So it's a lot of stitches going on in here, and it's fingering weight yarn, so it's just taking a long time, but it's gonna be lovely when I finish it. And I've already told him, you better wear the heck out of this sweater because I'm dedicating so much of my life to it. And if he doesn't wear it, I'll wear it. It will be ginormous on me, but that's fine. I'll still wear it because I'm not letting my effort go to waste on this. And that's one thing about me, like I might have 1,000,001 projects going and things might take me months and months and months to complete, but I will complete it at some point because I cannot stand to put so much effort into something to just undo it. unless it's done incorrectly and I need to fix it. But I will not let my effort go to waste because that's a lot of time. So it will get done eventually, just like my shawlography, which is in hibernation, will eventually be finished. More on that another time. And this is still hanging out in my bag from the Woolly Tangle. It takes up just about the whole bag because it's a big sweater. Moving on from that. Okay, let's see here. I do have a little bit of crochet to show you. Last time I showed you guys the blanket that, the blanket that I started for my sister, which is, if you don't remember, it's a big mandala, and then that is surrounded by squares, little like 4x4 squares, and then that is surrounded by a big border. It's a very intricate pattern. It's wild. I love it. It's beautiful. I started with the squares that go around, so kind of like the middle portion. And last time I had 2 sets of squares, these 2 sets. There's 3 each. I think there's about 7 different squares, and you do about 3 or 4 of each one. So that's how many it's going to take to go around the big mandala. So I've started on the 3rd set, which so far looks like this. Obviously it's not a square yet. I've still got about 3 or 4 more rounds to go on this one to make it a square. These take a little bit more brain power from me just because every single round is different. And with these ones, what I did was I would just make the whole square, put it to the side, move on to the next one, make the whole square, move on, go to the next one. But some of the rounds were a little tricky, and I would have to like reteach myself each time and like try to remember what I did to figure out the tricky parts. So with this one, what I did was I started doing them all at the same time. So I did round 1 on this one, round 1 on this one, round 1 on this one. Then I moved on to round 2. Just so that I don't have to like keep reteaching myself what I'm doing. It just makes it easier, and it seems to be less monotonous when I do that. Because then when I'm done with that pattern, I'm done. I've already made all 3. So yeah, I don't pick this up as often as I should. But like I said, it'll get done one day. Probably not by the date I'm intending, but we'll see. Okay, after that, I did want to show you guys, I'll show you an acquisition first. I did not buy this. My sister-in-law, Patience, she bought some worsted weight wool of the Andes, just like blank yarn to dye, and she dyed this up and gave me a little 50-gram skein to try, and it's awesome. I love the color. So this is the color it came out. It almost like is the exact same color as my eyes, which is crazy. Beautiful color. What's crazy though is she used, what is the name? I'm blanking, but the little purple flowers that grow in your yard, not lilac, but the ones that almost like shoot up and they have like different layers of the flowers, if that makes any sense. Anyways, that's what she used to dye this, and she said even in the pot it looked purple, but then she took the yarn out and it was this like sage green color. But I told her I love the sage green color. I'm crazy about it. So she's going to be dyeing more and potentially selling them. So if she does any like shipping, things like that, if she decides to sell, you know, out of the local area, I will let you guys know, and if you're interested you can support her. So yeah, what I'm planning on doing with this actually is I'm going to pair it with these other yarns that I have in my stash. I have no idea the names of any of them. They're really old and I don't even know if they're the correct weight, but from what I'm looking at, it looks like it'll work. So these are the other 3 yarns I have that I want to pair with this. This is like a white and gray, almost like marled. And this is, it's almost like self-striping. And then this is just a plain white. And I want to make a shawl for my mom for Mother's Day with these colors. And I did find a pattern for worsted weight. As I said, these might not be right at worsted, but I think it's close enough that it'll be fine. For just a basic triangular shawl, it almost, I think there's like a, because it's almost in stripes, which is what I'm going to do with these colors, is stripes. And in between each color change, there's a, almost like a seam like this, where the stitches are raised to separate them. So yeah, that's what I'm planning on doing with that, and I really need to get started because Mother's Day is approaching, and I really want to do something for her. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And I've been showing you guys at the end of each episode something that I've made previously. I've run out of all the things that I own to show you guys, but my sister-in-law Patience, I've made a few things for her in the past, and she gave me this to show you guys. I made this for her 2-3 years ago. I think it might have been 3 years ago. That just seems crazy though, but I think it was 3 years, for Christmas. And I had put it in a frame. She had it in the frame in her house for a while, and then she has taken it out and she just uses it as like a decor on maybe on a table or something. But it's this little doily. This is the first and only doily that I've ever made. It is crochet. And I can't tell you the pattern. This was before I used Ravelry, and I think I found it on Pinterest. It was something to do with wheat, because it almost looks like wheat, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed making this. And it, even though it's so tiny, like the stitches are like minuscule, it didn't take too terribly long. So this was actually made with crochet thread, which is very, very thin. And when I read to use thread, I was like, that's not gonna work. I mean, I've seen doilies before, and I feel like they're not usually this thin, but it worked out. And the crochet needle, or the crochet hook, was so tiny. I had to buy a new set to get the little tiny one. It's almost like the hook part is so small that it's almost not even a hook at that point. But that is a doily that I made. Kind of want to make one for myself now. So yeah, that's all I have to share. I think. I always look around like I've forgotten something, and it's gonna just like pop up and be like, hey, you forgot me. But I always forget something. So yeah, I think that's all I've got. Yeah. It will probably take me another 4 or 5 weeks to film again. I always say I'll try and be back in 2 weeks. It's not gonna happen. I can already tell you. Life is so crazy, and children are so crazy. I love them to death, but life is that's just the way it is right now. Life is crazy, and I try to film when I can, but I treat this as something that is just fun for me, and if I don't feel like filming, then I don't, because I don't want to ruin the fun that it is for me. And I mean, I don't like get paid for this or anything. It's just strictly just for fun. So, yeah, I don't know when I'll be back on again, but I've got a lot of things to work on in the meantime, and I'm sure I will have a lot to show you next time. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please do subscribe and leave me a comment. I love chatting with you guys. I always say you guys are the sweetest. Your comments are always so kind. So feel free to leave a comment, and if you don't already follow me on Instagram, do that. My name is Sugarfolk Homemade, no spaces or anything. I like to say that I'm more active on there, but sometimes I'm not. I go through phases with my Instagram. I just don't get on social media a ton in general. But I am more active there than I am here. So feel free to follow me there. And yeah, that's all. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your weekend and enjoy your crafting until I see you again. Bye-bye.